information.
I agree. If you can get that for us next time, then we can make some plans.
Item number 12, we will table until further information. Next meeting, hopefully. Okay, item number 13, resolution 240205, a resolution to set a public hearing for Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024 at 6:30 PM in the Belle Plaine Council Chambers for the property tax levy for fiscal year 25 of $15,000.
$15.
Yeah, $15. 98,339.
You know you're in trouble when the accountants go out five
Yeah.
numbers.
Sandy
Hey, it
does.
came right off the same
I know,
board.
I know, I'm
I can't afford that one.
Sandy, yeah, really, neither. Sandy does have, we may need to make a change here on this. And Sandy, do you want to let them know?
Yeah, so, one of the state requirements for the change in what they did with budgeting this year is you have to hold this, proposed property tax levy hearing, and it can be the only thing on the agenda. Now, you can have more than one meeting in the same night.
And that was my next question.
So my question is, do you want to hold this meeting for the proposed levy? And it has to occur first, it has to occur before the other meeting. Do you want to hold this one at 6:30 and then the normal Wednesday night meeting that we would have at 6:45? Or do you want to move
Yeah.
this meeting up to 6:15 and keep the regular meeting at 6:30?
Well, for Garrett's sake, can't we just push it all back to 6:45? and then?
Absolutely can. I just wanted to make sure that you'll get two agendas. It will be like it's two completely separate meetings as if it was on different nights, except they're gonna be back to back.
So the public hearing resolution will be at 6:45.
No, 6:30. It has to be first.
Right, I'm saying, can we push it all back?
And start the hearing at 6:45.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Start the hearing at 6:45.
Because you have trouble being here at 6:30.
I'd be fine with 6:30 on the first one.
You're okay?
Yeah.
6:30 is
Yeah.
not his problem.
Yeah,
6:00 was the issue, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
yeah, 6:30 would be fine, and 6:45 for the normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that he has opportunity to get here.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Or you can call us from your town and I'll run down here.
Yeah. Call you on the road.
Group text.
Yep.
I'm on the road. Okay, number 13, need a motion.
I'll motion for approval, resolution 240205. Resolution to set public hearing for Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024 at 6:30 PM in the Belle Plaine Council Chambers for the proposed property tax levy for fiscal year 25.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0.
And is it appropriate to note that that's gone down?
Okay.
I will make a note in the minute, I'm sorry, I will make a note in the minutes too, that the full council meeting will start at 6:45.
Perfect.
Okay, item number 14, discuss for possible approval of renewal of a Class C retail alcohol license with Sunday sales and outdoor service for the Belle Plaine Country Club at 1911 13th Avenue North in Belle Plaine, Iowa. Chief, we had any problems out there?
Nope.
Golfers keep under control.
Yeah, them guys coming by my house on the golf cart. Oh, goodness. Okay, well, with that, I need a motion.
I'll motion for approval renewal of a Class C retail alcohol license with Sunday sales and outdoor service for the Belle Plaine Country Club at 1911 13th Avenue North in Belle Plaine.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Okay, now for the fun stuff, you guys. Number 15, discussion on whether to sell the current vacant city-owned medical center building at 1010 8th Avenue. And if you look, Sandy went to and she's got a printout somewhere in there. There it is. I have it right in my hand. It looks like this. So.
So was the last complete fiscal year, are two of those pages revenues and expenses, and then the other two pages are this fiscal year to date.
And she has it highlighted in there of basically what the building's costing us.
So it's about a wash is what it looks like to me.
When it's occupied.
When it's occupied. Oh, I see. But now the Eastern Iowa Sleep Center is not there.
And the-
Okay, so basically what we're doing is just discussing where we want to go and what we would like to do with this building.
Well, I think, personally, we need to look at, I was talking with Sandy and she said we just put a roof on it and something else. Something else just happened.
Can we put in
AC?
AC.
Yeah,
AC,
so
so you're
we'll be
looking,
getting new, sorry to be interrupting,
Go ahead.
there's still some insurance claims on it, so it's gonna get new fascia and gutter and downspout.
so that's an expense that we're not having to pay, where we're gaining more, revenue there. Instead of continuing to do an output on it.
And I know the two projects that need done, if we keep it this next year, is we need to do some work on the parking lot and retaining wall.
Are we looking at a complete redo of the parking lot or just repair?
I think that's open for debate. I think you'd have to get some quotes to find out how bad the structure is. But
Yeah, well, I didn't know if it was just a portion of it.
yeah, I
was
don't know
falling
whether,
apart,
because
but
that
it
one
was
wall
okay.
next to that other house is bad again, right?
Mhm.
Well, that was not that long ago we fixed that, was it?
Do we have any current rental interest?
We have a pending lease agreement with Miracle Ear that they want to rent one room for $600 a month.
How many rooms are there?
I don't have that with me at the moment. I have I'll have to look at it.
We've probably not really looked into actively seeking tenants for this building, have we? Because it's not that long ago that the
That it-
sleep
I
center
thought
Right.
that the sleep center was looking for tenants to help sublease it
without luck.
without
Right.
luck, yes.
And as I remember, Steve had talked to a couple of people and they've all backed out.
There was a dentist that had interest. They decided to do something else. There is some other interest, but I don't have any. We have one lease agreement on the table right now.
I'm wondering if we could possibly seek some help from Benton Development Group to, at least for a while, try to market it for tenants if we could, just to see if there's any interest out there beyond where we've been able to reach so far, or any other group has been able to reach so far. And just try that to see if there's any possibility before we just jump into putting it up for sale.
Along with that, though, I think we need to get some kind of quotes on what do you want to do with parking lot and what's it gonna cost and the retaining wall?
Yeah, I guess people are probably gonna ask for that if we sell that, make it contingent.
Well, you open yourself up to liability
Liability.
issues if you have a bad parking lot or a wall that's gonna be dangerous.
My question, do you even want to, do you want to be a landlord?
That's,
that-
well, that was,
that's-
you just took the words out of my mouth. It's
I-
usually municipalities are the worst landlords.
yeah.
That unless you have a building that's active and you have people in it, they deteriorate fast.
I can see both sides. I can see, are we really in the rental business, you know, because somebody has to track that then and make sure everything's okay in the building.
I've given it a lot of
Versus
thought.
bringing something that to town that might be good for our citizens. But I'm kind of leaning toward, we're not a rental place.
I met with a general contractor down there just to look things over, like current state, where are we at? What would it take to do this? What would it take to do that? And I noticed that the windows on the north, like on both sides are single pane windows, and they would need to be updated. So I think that the more, you know, I always try to do the best I can with what we've got, and until, you know, I get directions. So we've got directions that maybe we don't want this building. So, you know, I support that decision, because I think that after I looked at it, there's going to be some more maintenance things that are involved. So whoever, you know, if someone were to buy it, they're going to have to, you know, put investment into it to turn it into whatever it's going to be, because it's laid out. I mean, you asked how many rooms. There are 2 large rooms in the center ish. It's basically like a north wing and a south wing, and then a center 2 big rooms, and it has a couple of kitchenettes and 4 bathrooms. It has plumbing all the way around, so it has a lot of opportunity to be all different kinds of things. It could be you know, if someone was industrious and entrepreneurial, they could do a number of really cool things with that. And I don't think that we really want to be in the business of being a landlord with that many units.
We did, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead and go first.
We did meet with Gage last Friday. One of the conversations that we had was in regards to this building and how, if council decided it was something that they thought they might be interested in selling, what that process might be, and whether we could hire a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer was no. You can hire a realtor if you want to pay them to tell you
Appraisal.
what's it worth, what should you be asking for it. You can do that. You can pay them that fee. You can't have them
Listed.
sell it for you and list it. It has to be done by hearing, and it's just, it's a process. So his recommendation is, if you're interested in selling it, see what kind of interest is out there first before you schedule this hearing.
Well, yeah,
And then
that
you-
was my next question. Has there been any interest ever in
I don't know that
Purchasing
anybody
the-
knows we have any interest in selling it.
well, that could be a problem.
I don't know if very many people know we own it.
No, I didn't know until, you know, this last
Right down the
week
street
back,
from
so.
it, I didn't know the city owned.
Yeah.
It's been vacant for a while.
Really, it only costs you an appraisal fee, right?
Right,
A realtor would cost you just the appraisal fee.
correct.
not this.
So they won't be able to show it or anything?
Appraiser instead of a realtor.
Really?
I think that we've shown, I think that we are better as a city selling it, and that's why I kind of wanted to discuss this. I'm firmly for selling it. I think we've exhausted our options. Sleep Center tried getting renters in, as Mitch said, people have backed out. I mean, yes, we have one person interested, but how long do we want to continue to, well, we got one here for 3 years, and then again, nobody comes. I mean, how long do you let yourself fail? We're already behind the 8 ball on it, so how far do we want to get behind?
Right. So if we dangle this in front of Benton Development and had Kate put the word out that this building was available, if we had some people that were interested, we could then get, or we can do it now, I guess, is to have a realtor tell us an appraised value of what we think. But I really think that I just don't think we want to hold on to that. Buildings that are vacant, as we've seen by other past with schools and other buildings, that when they're sit vacant for a while, even with best efforts of trying to keep them, they deteriorate quickly. And then you lose your whole value. Right now, this building is still fairly fresh. It's got some new things going. The new owner would have to assume the parking lot or whatever, or we can negotiate that part, but I think that we should entertain looking at.
And I think an appraisal is the next step.
Yeah.
But I feel you, Judy. You hate to let go of something that you already have when there's possibility that somebody could come in there but I just don't
Somebody
think
still
we're in
could
the
come in there,
business.
not with us. though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right, but
I mean, frankly, it'd help me sleep better at night when I think about, man, did I go down to the sleep center this week and check and make sure the water's not
Yeah,
leaking?
well,
yeah.
no, seriously, it gets to the point where, unless we have a solid tenant that's using the whole building and paying the fees and covering everything, and it's less of a liability for us.
Well, here's the other thing that I was thinking about the selling of this, and Sandy, if we sell this building, could that funding be used towards our water treatment plant?
That's what you guys designate it to be
So
used for.
there we go with a larger chunk towards
Sure.
something we absolutely need versus hopes and dreams.
And they're
I'm just
nice,
trying to
but
play the
not-
devil's
it's not
advocate,
really-
looking,
Yeah.
what are we losing if we don't sell it and we try to get it, the medical in there? I mean, have we given it the best effort to try to get medical groups to come in? Is that a need within the city? And I'm just playing devil's advocate the other side, just so we've made sure we've talked this thing through.
Well, I sincerely worry about the liability.
And I talked to Barry, the CEO with Compass Memorial, about things, and he's been through it a couple times, at least once with me. And he's just like, this doesn't really fit into our, and they don't want to compete with the medical center. They're just
And
trying
then
to
you
be
tried
good.
with, mental health and other groups that are in Vinton that maybe could come and handle southern
Move
Benton County.
back, yeah.
But I don't think, I mean, everybody's moved away from that. I mean, you look at what the University of Iowa's done, they backed out of satellite. Kirkwood backed out of satellite. People aren't doing that right now.
The delivery of medical services has changed a lot since that building was built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't even get
Resident
the county to
doctors.
come down here to do driver's license.
Yeah.
So, that whole idea of satellite offices
It's-
just has faded to the point where I think while the building's still in pretty good condition and we've got a lot of things going for it with the new roof and the other insurance things, I think this is probably the right time to seriously look at getting an appraisal and getting it on the market. I agree with you, Garrett.
Would you guys like me to get a hold of like a professional building appraiser or have a realtor run, they would be able to run comps on it? So it's not technically like an appraisal.
It's a
'Cause I
unique
think
building.
running comps would be hard. I think
Yeah,
it
I
probably
think-
needs to be appraised by an appraiser.
I think so.
Because if we're gonna throw that out, then it's gonna be, is that gonna be an office building? I mean, how's that gonna be presented?
Is regardless of what we do, we're gonna need to know what that thing's worth if Kate's
That's-
looking at it.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, I think you better look into the claims too. For getting the stuff fixed that's on the claims.
I emailed one of the contractors today to get started on the removal of the downspout gutter and we're starting doing the fascia when the weather is good enough for them. So we're still working on that. And then Precision will be putting the gutters and downspouts on when they're able to in the spring.
Who did the original repair on the wall? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
these
it
are-
wasn't done correctly.
Okay.
These repairs from the hailstorm, will they have to be done by May 7th, which is 1 year? Because I know at my home, everything has to be done by May 7th.
Your claim has to be in by 1 year.
1 year,
If-
okay.
You either have a 12-month or 24-month statute of limitation, or I think that's,
Yeah.
you, depending on your insurance company. So as long as you've made the claim,
On top of the fact, our insurance company, we have quotes on everything.
yeah,
And our
we,
insurance company has approved all of it,
Okay.
so
So the
Now
actual
it's-
complete date isn't that important, okay.
correct, and they've, yeah, exactly.
I follow up with them every month. Here's what we got done, here's what we're still waiting on, and they get it.
So I mean, it's just happened, like the back of the US Cellular building is getting some work done right now, and the weather's nice, and
Thank you.
No, I don't think so.
I didn't think so. Okay, so with item number 15, we'll have Steve
I'll just get the appraisal company we normally get done.
do that, and then just continue with the insurance claim.
Okay,
So,
I don't know how much the appraisal is going to be. But I think it was about between $300 and $500 when I had a house done. So it could be,
mhm.
close to 15, I don't have any idea, 1,500 to 2,000, I don't know.
We really don't
I
have
really feel
choice.
like, I think I just wanted to let you know,
Yeah.
no surprises.
What's the size?
207 is the assessor valuation, but
With your new assessment.
yeah, I mean, if you had to build that building, it's stout. It is stout. It is a very well-built building.
Well, we won't need a motion on that one for right now, so we'll just plan on Steve doing his work on that, and then we'll come back.
Would you all like me to contact Kate also on that?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, please. Might as well get the feelers out there.
Yeah, the sooner the better, I guess.
I mean, she and I have talked about it, so I just feel like there probably isn't a lot of interest, but I'll just revisit it with her and get back with y'all.
Okay. On to number 16, discuss the sale of the city-owned lots with possible motion for next steps, such as drafting bid requirements, minimum bids, advertising, and sale provisions. This was another thing discussed with Gage. Either or, Sandy or Steve, if you want to let council know how that went.
So one of the things we talked about was whether council wants to try to individually sell each of the 4 properties solo, or if the council would like to present it as a development,
Package.
package, 4 properties, 1 price.
With the development
With
agreement.
the development agreement. So you could stipulate things like, deed won't transfer until X point in which the development of that property is done. Maybe it's the foundation's in, maybe it's the structure framing is done, or, so you could stipulate those kinds of things. You could say there has to be, some type of livable residential unit, whether it's single-family housing, multifamily dwelling, developed on this property or on each property. You can stipulate things like that in some type of agreement. Same thing applies where it would be public hearing, bid process.
I really
He's
think
aware of a
it's,
couple of developers
Yeah.
already that are,
I really
Dangling
think it would
interest.
be great if we could find a developer that would agree to develop all of those, because it seems that sometimes lots get sold with no intent of building a home there.
All right,
And I think the whole idea is to get the fill inside the city limits of housing, affordable housing, so that people have the chance of, buying a decent home. They don't have to be palatial. I think it's gotta be a nice new place for someone that can afford to buy a home and raise a family here. And I really think if we could find a developer and sell the whole thing as a lot with the agreement that they have to build a house, I mean, I think that's a win for us. That's what we've been shooting to do for 15 years, 20 years here.
Right, and,
That was part of the nuisance.
right, that's part of the thing is getting rid of the blight and then getting our population density back up
Exactly.
and getting those infill lots and rehabilitating those neighborhoods and revitalizing those neighborhoods. So the three that are vacant with no house on it right now are in R3, which means that they could potentially have multi-residential housing on them. I think the only place that really makes sense is the one by the Catholic Church. And any developer that has shown interest in that is talking about doing like some kind of a townhomes or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, like a duplex or a triplex.
So you're talking about those 3 top properties on this list?
I forgot to tell you guys, we had a list for that as well. Sandy got that up, and that's the dollar amounts that we have invested as a city in each of those properties.
So 910 9th Ave is a mid-block house, so it doesn't have, it has street and alley access. 90, excuse me, that's 909. 1005 has, it's on a cross alley, so it has 3 sides of access. So it has it has an alley on the north, on the east, and a street on the west.
I know we talked before about issues with lots. Are any of these gonna have that type of issue, like lot size or building?
The top 3 don't.
Just the one, the 1507.
1507, when that house is written, that's another thing we talked to Gage about.
Okay.
So historically, the way the city has responded to that is if there was a home on a non-conforming lot, which would be anything less than 10,000 square feet, the city has historically not fought anyone on putting a home back in that spot.
Okay.
We don't have a ton of examples of that, but we also talked with Gage about possibilities of, just putting it on his radar. The council had, it was my impression, the council had some appetite in exploring maybe revisiting that 10,000 square foot size limitation, so that we could, and it's not in an effort to just cram houses in, but if they make sense, it makes sense. I can use my own home as an example now. Where I live is on a 6,000 square foot lot, and my neighbor's is a 4,000 square foot lot. That was a lot that was cut into 2 and now has 2 small homes on it. And that my neighborhood has multiple, if you drive down there are multiple examples of that.
But like you said, there's appetite for that now.
Right. Some people don't want to have a
big
huge
yards.
yard.
They want a nice livable home. Don't have to have a huge yard. And, I think that as long as it's not creating issues, I think that's a smart way of trying to get.
That really
building.
helps our aging population stay here too, when we build
Yeah,
these duplexes and triplexes with small yards. I mean, I'm not trying to be emotional here, but I have people come and say, hey, I want to die here. I have to leave. I have to leave town because I don't have a place to live.
Mhm.
I want to live here until I die.
Right.
And, that means something to me. And I'm like, well, tell me what you're looking for so I know what to do.
Right.
And we're not just trying to this is more than one person. These are a lot of people. I mean, this just makes sense. And a developer was in today talking about this, and we're going to be trying to work through a plan with them.
can we set some kind of a timeline for the developer to begin building?
You can.
You can.
Yeah. I mean, most of the developers want to start moving quickly.
They do, but I just don't want to get caught up in,
No, so I don't, there isn't an issue of, I don't think they're going to be sitting around for 2 or 3 years. I think they
right,
wanna-
it's,
Well, I'll let you guys know, and I know Steve has reached out, but I've also reached out to some people and some of the same with Steve. And there are 3 developers out there right now that want to start building. So
Seriously.
seriously,
And I've encouraged them to reach out to the mayor and vice versa.
you know, and we have that interest of bringing developers to town, and we have lots available.
Did we,
Is this all the lots that we currently own as far as the city?
No,
Does.
we own the Herring Hotel lot
Right.
and
The main, well, it's still got a building.
Ma's Kitchen.
Ma's Kitchen.
Right.
um,
But I mean, as far as homes,
homes?
Yes.
Yeah,
these are the 4.
these are
lots of
residential.
Can we put, well, I know when you build like a duplex or whatever, a lot of times they're slab. But if it's going to be a home, can we recommend or tell them that we'd like to have basement homes?
Yeah, you could put whatever kind of stipulations you want. And from a lot of developers that I've talked to, some advice that I've gotten is when you're building homes, if you want good comps, which is how people get loans, unless they're buying a house with cash, they need to get a mortgage. To have a good comp, it's good to have a basement because you've doubled the square footage of the home. You have a storm shelter, all of these things, and buildings with basements comp better, even if it's got a half of a basement.
Well, that's good
So-
news because I don't want to see a bunch of slab houses thrown up around town.
Sure, and I mean, there are some people that just would like to have one floor, if they have mobility issues, they don't want to have a basement, they don't want to have to worry about it, and they just want a 0 entry and they can get into their home and that's it. That's all they want. And so we kind of have to find the marketplace, and, the builders will, that's going to be my conversation with them is don't build all your buildings on slabs.
Yeah,
So, but there is interest in those as well, but I totally get your point.
I just think we're smart moving forward if we can find a developer and get the terms down, get what we want in that. I think it'd be great if we could find someone to take them all in one swoop.
well, people are looking to move to town.
So you want
There's
us
no
to
place to go.
draft, a bid package for you guys to look at next time?
Yep.
Sure.
Sounds good.
So are we going to
So
sell
next,
the,
there will have to be a hearing also.
One of the things I wanted to bring up is with every developer I've talked to, and this goes back to the lot size. So in R3, this is my best understanding of it. In R3 is a place where you would build something like the condos that are across from the laundromat up on the hill there. So those were originally, I can't remember those would be like a rental or something like that, or owned by an association. Then they got subdivided later. So those are really small. An R3 would be you own a property and it has 3 residences on it basically. But if we were to build 3 townhomes, for instance, not we, I mean the effort, that means that they would want to cut that lot into 3 pieces because they would want each person to have their own home ownership, which would create 3 non-code conforming lots, if that makes sense. So that would take a 10 or 12,000 square foot lot and turn it into 3 smaller lots if the people owned and it wasn't just a rental.
It's not 3 separate buildings.
They're connected,
One
but they
building.
have,
Yeah.
You're talking like either a duplex or a townhouse type.
yeah, like a triplex townhome. So the one by
Which those are the ones that the elderly people may be going before, but we'd like to have some families
Yeah.
too that,
So, the down on, 9th Avenue, the two properties down there, those are probably the best for single family homes.
because we want to tell the kids to go to the basement.
Yeah, right. So one of the ideas for the lots north of the laundromat would be like a two-story, two or three two-story townhomes, like with you pull the garage in underneath. There might be like a room in the back, like a utility room, and then you go upstairs and that's your house. Kind of like you see in Iowa City or Cedar Rapids or something like that. That's one of the ideas people are kicking around. The other one would be just a more traditional style. So with like garages in the back towards the alley.
Do we have any price point at all for what these developers might be considering? Because I know that there are a lot of people who don't really have $200,000 or $300,000 to put into a home, especially when they're on the end of their life years.
Oh, you mean what the sale price might be? I think that the slab homes would be pretty affordable for retirees. If they had a two-person income, I don't know what the price point is because they're not finished yet.
I think this is wonderful talking about all this potential housing, but it does have to be affordable for the people in our community.
Well, we're
developer
hoping
doesn't
new
really
people
want
come
to
into
build
town
something they
that
can't
can't afford it, so.
They're gonna develop something they wanna sell.
So hopefully, yeah, I mean, ultimately, if they don't sell them, so these could be thought of in a couple different ways. So it could be, a young family got a starter home and now they want to upgrade, I've done that. Adam's done that. Maybe everybody here's done that. You start out small and you kind of work your way. I actually got to a smaller house, but I think that's the thing is it just frees up people to move around and because there aren't really a whole lot of options at the moment.
Well, and to that, right now, there are a lot of people that are wanting to move to Belle Plaine.
Yeah, I mean, that's
If you
one of
look
the
at the
things.
market and the houses that are pending, if you talk with the realtors, a lot of those people are coming from out of Belle Plaine.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yep.
And
I mean, that's one of the things that we're trying to do is,
So, I mean, just saying with the development, yeah, it might be a little bit more expensive, but that person might be coming from Cedar Rapids is paying a lot more.
yeah,
I think you have to trust the developer and knowing the market and what's gonna sell, and I don't think we can micromanage how everything's gonna look. I think
Yeah.
we offer
Right.
this as, we find a reliable
They're in the
developer
business.
who we've done our due diligence on, that have done this before, preferably someone local that,
and maybe the mayor could speak to this. The three developers that have talked to me are here because they see what Belle Plaine is doing and they're leaving the other places that they've been because they just hit roadblocks and problems. And they're like, Belle Plaine really seems like you guys want to build some houses here. And, and we've been working with all three.
That was a really excellent point. That there are people that can afford those that do want to move here.
Mhm.
So the developer, I'm sure, will keep that in mind when they have a variety of things that they can offer to the people.
Right.
Developers want to sell their stuff and not just have an empty house and look at it. I mean, they want to move the stuff. So I think you have to trust those guys that they're going to know the market. And I think everyone's looking for new housing.
So I have one question to this package. 15076 Avenue, are we going to put in that package that house is coming down?
That's something, I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm.
That's something that is up to you guys that, I mean,
Because I mean, if that's the direction we're gonna go, when we sell them as a package, we might as well have that conversation now.
and I think we should try to sell it maybe with them demoing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you mean, you don't want them fixing it up, you want them
No.
tearing it down. So Gage advised against, because I had some people interested in.
Right.
And he's just like, I don't think that we should try that, no matter how much you trust them. He said it's just, it was too hard fought. It's too delicate of a
So
situation.
in the package, it will
But you
state,
can
it will
add-
clearly state,
You can add 10 grand to that if we do it.
At least.
well, it's fine, I'm not saying us doing it, I'm just
Oh,
saying,
Okay,
that
I'm
the
sorry, I
house is coming
misunderstood.
down.
I
No.
misunderstood, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
But a developer more than likely would do that. If we sold it to an individual, then we might run into a problem.
Mhm.
So what we're saying is that it would have to be understood with the developer that's coming down.
Yes.
We'll have
That's
some,
why-
On their.
That's why I think if you sell
I'm
this,
on their dime, that's
that's why I
right.
think if you sell this as a package deal, you build that into it to where
Yeah.
there's now an incentive for that developer
Yeah.
saying, all right, I gotta tell out a house, but I can get 4 lots
Mhm.
to develop.
And that that you gotta be a serious developer to have
Yeah,
that initiative.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that can definitely be very clearly delineated in there that it must be demolished per city, gone.
I think we've been headed this direction for a while, right, Steve?
This is what we're hoping for.
Perfect.
we'll have Sandy draft it up. She'll work with Steve and they'll get it all drafted up and we'll have it ready for the next council meeting.
Very positive movement, guys.
Yeah,
Very
Very positive.
If I have a quick question regarding, since we're gonna be doing some legal stuff, would anybody have any, I just want to consider the idea that the medical building, if it were sold, could be multi-residential. That is, and we can move on. I just wanted to plant that idea because that's something that,
Yes.
Agreed. How does that work? Do we rezone that then?
well, it's commercial right now. It's C1, I believe. So I will look at the particulars on that,
Okay.
but that's something that, it could be turned into a cool boutique hotel. It could be a, short-term stay, which we really need, or,
Hey, if the
Whatever.
sleep
That's
study
good
could make it
location.
with the
That's
trains.
Tim, my husband was the last sleep study. Now nobody wants to go there.
That snoring just
I should.
took the wall.
I know it.
walls.
and even with the single pane windows to the north, I waited in there one day, even with the developer. I was like, let's just wait until a train goes by. We've got plenty to talk about. Let's just talk here until a train goes by. And it was not, the windows didn't rattle, the
No,
floor
that's-
didn't move.
Yeah, no, that's not, if someone wanted to come in and do that, you've got plenty of parking for however what, I think.
It is right by downtown.
Sure.
Like-
Excellent
Gotta be
location.
open. To whatever they
That would
want to do.
actually would be.
Right, all right, I just want to make sure everybody's
That's
cool
how
with
I feel
that.
about it.
Okay,
I mean,
well,
that's everybody else gotta feel that too.
I feel that way.
okay, great, thanks.
Yeah.
Once you get that doctor smell out of it.
Alrighty, on to number 17 then. So we'll have them draft up 16 and have it all ready for the next meeting. So, 17 would be the city clerk's report, solar report from December, and, update on the total body fitness poll that she took for the employee, down at the fitness
Yeah.
center.
So the solar report was in your packet. I just got information a little late to get it in the last one. Kind of tracking about as expected. My question for you guys is, do you want to continue to receive this? We've been tracking it for a couple of years now. It's something-
Solar,
I just,
Is it
do
something
it
you look at?
quarterly?
Is
Can
it
you do
something
it
you wanna
quarterly
see?
or do it? We don't have to have it
It's
every
new to me,
month.
but everybody else has seen it, so.
I just don't see the necessity of it unless you see something that jumps out all of a sudden like, whoa. You could bring it to our
That's a
attention,
good point.
because it's just
Yeah.
work for you, Sandy.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Just trying to put my efforts towards something useful, and this is just recording data.
Yeah,
I
We
think as
all
long as
look
you
at it and
guys are
go,
looking at
okay.
it and then seeing that
There's-
it's staying, it's holding
Mm-hmm.
steady.
There's no way to automatically generate this report. It's all manually
Yes.
manual entries through, dozens
Yeah.
upon dozens of sheets of bills.
I mean, you can keep track just yourself, right? And then if something weird comes up, you can notify us. That's a lot of work.
I also, although it's not on the list, threw out the landfill report again this time. Although this is data, this is something that I think is worth tracking and showing every month, just because we're working our way out of the hole. We are still working our way out of the hole. I just think, especially if you look, it's the smallest negative we've had so far. So I think it's good. I just wanted to make sure you get to see that all the time. Like I said, probably by the end of this fiscal year, probably still be negative, but sometime during the next fiscal year, it should pop out.
Well, nothing is going to change that would make it not continue to be negative, right?
Not that I'm aware of today.
It's another thing that you can report.
Could the landfill decide they're upping fees? They could.
There's always the fuel surcharge.
Have we heard that
on-
they're going to? No. We know what the,
Not to keep bragging about how
Current
much
carriers
money
plan to-
they have, they better not.
yeah, I know.
So explain this to me just a little bit.
Right?
How did this happen?
How did it get negative?
Yeah.
Well, we kept paying more every year and didn't pass anything along to the consumer.
Okay. So now we're getting that in order. We're getting our
So
house
we-
in order.
We adjusted that, 4 years ago, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 years ago.
Right when I.
And didn't we feel from the last company to this company that we were questioning what we were getting billed for? And now that
Yes.
seems to have gone away.
Uh-huh.
I'm not naming names on purpose, but it's just,
So
Coincidental.
Yeah, our tipping-
again,
our
I,
tipping fees or gate fees, whatever you wanna call them, have improved
Yeah.
dramatically.
and that affects this whole bunch.
Absolutely
yeah,
affects that.
again, I think this is busy work for you.
Once it's no longer negative,
We'll
I
have
will
a
agree with
party.
you. I will agree
That's
with
kind
you.
of like your,
It's
it's gonna happen now.
Gonna.
Soon. I know.
I'm sorry.
I can
I
tell.
thought I kicked you.
No, that's all right.
She's like, if you raise the garbage rate, I won't have to do this.
I think there'll be time at the end for resident comments. There is, we won't let you escape.
And then as far as I took a poll of all our employees in regards to the total body fitness. All of the police department was a strong yes. And then 2 other employees were a yes. I had 2 tentative maybes. And 1, well, maybe if the city pays for it all, and everybody else was a no.
I can't deal with this one. It's in the middle of a contract, and to me, it's a benefit, and it needs to be negotiated if that's what they want. Don't get me wrong, I think awesome thing for them to do. And if they'd like to negotiate that at the proper time, we could listen.
And what about
What-
those that aren't covered by a contract?
No, same thing, it's money.
So the answer for them is absolutely no, never, because they're
No.
not covered by a contract?
No,
Okay.
you can certainly ask for things.
Who do they ask? They don't have a union
You-
to ask.
But you have a boss. You have a boss that you
That's
can
how this
ask.
transpired. They went to their boss.
That's correct. So you can do the same thing. It's just not backed by the union is all.
And when's that come up again for them, for benefits?
Chris,
2025,
Couple years.
2025? Next year.
And that is January or
Mhm.
July?
July 25. So
July 25?
more and more departments and cities are having to think outside the box as far as benefits, because you can't hardly get people to apply for police jobs. I mean, if you're just offering bare benefits, you ain't gonna, I mean.
But Chief, didn't we just go through this, and you tell me, because I wasn't on the council then, where we gave a substantial raise to get people here. We've, I think the benefits are fair.
Yeah.
And yet we still have a turnover.
Yeah.
So I feel your pain with the turnover for sure, but I'm not sure that giving them a gym membership is gonna make
It may not,
a difference.
it may not.
I agree.
It's just the size of a community that we are, and it's gonna be a problem forever. But with you at the helm, I think we've brought in some pretty good officers and kept them as long as you possibly can. Somebody talk.
I mean, I do agree both sides, and that's why this is tough, is because our officers and our employees staying healthy is better for us in the long run, premium wise. But we also did, as you mentioned, we bent over backwards in the middle of a contract and gave them a significant chunk, and we've still had the turnover, and it's just really tough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
Well, I
I
know
mean-
that at many places that I've worked where the insurance companies have stepped in and lowered their premium if employees decided to join gyms or whatever. I don't know if that's anything, I'm not that familiar with our insurance to know if that's anything that they'd like to get involved in, but I know that that happens some places. But for us to just put the money out, I think about, I always go back and think about who voted me in here and who I'm representing and what would they say. And I think I'd be hard pressed to find a lot of people that would think that that was a necessary benefit when many of them are living without benefits at all, let alone gym memberships. I just can't.
So I've heard from
Do
some
it.
people in my own ward about this over the last week and a half, probably. And the consensus that they have is kind of where you're at as well. They're like, that should be more of a personal responsibility thing. And at the end of the day, my vote's for them. So, and like you said too, I don't know if a gym membership is going to necessarily help with turnover either. So, but if they want to bring it up in 2025, it's what, a year and a half out, then maybe we could approach it then, or they do.
If that's what they want to do, but they have to keep in mind that the negotiations is a give and take situation. They may have to give up something to get that membership, but that's their problem. That's,
It's part of it.
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
Did we have a cost for this membership per individual?
So 40,
No, it wasn't, it was
30 something,
36,
decent chunk to just say in the middle of the
32.10.
year. We're in the middle of a contract and in the middle of a fiscal year for the rest of the employees. Our budget's set, and I just can't really see adding that.
And then the only other thing is, we got the official audits back, and went out to each of you. Again, if you wind up having questions, let me know. I have to send a news release to the paper.
I would say good job. Audits are always hard, and I know, Sandy, that you work each year to make sure that the audit comments
You wanna look at mine?
decrease. And I know Steve has to help along with all that. So, good job, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
oh my goodness. Mitch, come on. It's too many numbers.
Oh, yeah, so Historically, they've come and report at a council meeting. They're like, we can still come if you want us to, but there's really not much to report on.
Well, isn't that a feather in your cap?
Anything that's in there, are,
So-
these guys do great, but like, they're kind of, they have to
They're
put
like, "We
something.
won't argue, they won't
Listen,
listen."
I'm probably one of two people that would be interested in that conversation, but the rest of you, no.
So.
Sandy
I
can
think
be really
the
proud of herself for
first time
the,
they came, it was like, I don't know, 50 minutes.
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
meeting.
When us
The last time we about as fast as we could go.
When the
Right.
About
financial
20.
people get you, they like to talk.
So if
Yep,
you're,
Sandy's,
if you're all good
Sandy's
with
done
that,
a
I'll
good
tell them they're
job.
on
So they're
line.
not coming.
But
Not
that's,
coming.
So that Sandy did a good job, so they're not coming.
Really no need.
And if they ever come again, we'll say you did a bad job.
or we're coming.
Great, thanks all.
Okay,
Great job.
all right. Number 18, city administrators report.
okay, we kind of went through some of my stuff I already did, so this is gonna be a little bit abbreviated. We covered some of it already. Nick Vile has been promoted to the Public Works Supervisor. The mayor, Councilman Landit, and I were on a committee, and we brought him in and gave him an internal promotion. And he's already off to a great start. It's his second day.
Excellent.
Good.
And so I've been working with Nick to develop job descriptions for a couple of roles that we are going to need to fill potentially. So we have 2 jobs posted right now. And I have one to him to review, and I'll have another one for him tomorrow. But you'll probably see something in the paper for a part-time role and one for a full-time public works operator.
Will Nick's new role interfere with this old role?
No, one of the things we've been trying to do is merge all of the public works together. It's always been streets and water and sewer, and it's so disconnected. So Nick is the operator in charge for all of our utilities. Excuse me. And this puts him in a very great position to cross-train our existing staff and our future staff and just integrate that into their daily lifestyle on going through and learning how to do water testing, learning how to do water sampling, learning how to go to the wastewater treatment plant, and learning what a pump sounds like, when it sounds good, when it sounds bad, so that they can be on, for decades it was 2 people did weekend rounds. So you did it. And if someone was on vacation, you were doing it you worked every day.
Is everybody caught up on their required certification?
We had John just applied. So at the DNR, you have to apply to the DNR to see if you qualify to take your exam. John filled out his, and because you never know until you fill it out. So he filled out his, and he is qualified to take an exam. So he is getting prepared to take an exam, correct?
Excellent.
So that's good. And sometimes it's a little, because I've been in that position, sometimes it's a little nerve wracking because you don't know, do I know enough? Do I know? Because you have to know so much before you can even kind of get your foot in the door with them. You have to fill it out. And so they accepted him in to be able to take exams. So that's great news. So the new full-time role would, the way that I wrote that up is they would be required to have minimum certifications. And then of course there's really good incentive to be fully certified.
And
We
what-
don't really need everybody to be fully certified, but it would be great to have multiple people certified.
And while the chief's here, we got two at Academy.
Yeah.
How they doing?
Good.
Good.
One just lost his grandfather, so he's home.
Oh,
From the original search that we had on past city worker, were there other applicants that were qualified that we did a search 2 years ago or so, right? And had other applicants that interviewed for the job? Are those, any of those people
Still looking for a
still
job.
looking, or
I,
is that somebody you can reach out to that you thought
It
were
got
qualified?
It got published today. It just
Yeah,
was
so
in the
it's-
paper today, so.
I was,
both of them.
Okay.
I was, I've been having some health problems and, I was out yesterday and today, so I don't have the job description completed for the part-time role. So I was hoping to have that published on our website today, but it's not. It'll be published tomorrow as long as Nick and I can agree on, you know, what his expectations are, what's achievable, and what's, you know, what are things that he's going to be able to, I want it to be something that it's good, that will work. And he is pretty ambitious, so I'm excited with the way it's headed. So I thought that was, we're doing the best we can, and we're gonna keep working on our team, and I'm optimistic. I think I briefly went over this 1507 6th Ave. We're prepping that for demolition as far as just getting the things that need to be disconnected, like Alliant Energy, disconnect the gas from the main, from the poles, telecom. Those are things that we can do that will take just a few minutes to get set up, to have someone set up so they don't have, you know, depending on regardless of who has to demolish the house. With the, I was going to talk about Gage in our meeting, but we covered pretty much I don't think there's any stone unturned there. Greg Brennan with the University of Iowa. He's the gentleman that's doing a lot of our soil diagnostic and characterization for the wetland restoration project. He was out today and put some monitoring equipment in some of the test wells that he drilled, and those will monitor the height of the depth of the water table as the snow starts to melt. So I just said, well, let's just get them in the ground and see how the ground behaves. And so we're hoping to do some pumping tests on the well 4 soon to see how that influences the other area. And then Nate and his crew sent back the final information to Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship. That's the Water Quality Initiative grant that we have for $250,000. The final, we made the pre-application and they really liked it. And so they wanted to know more. So they got more information. They asked Nate for this, that, and the other, and his team put together a 60-page document of all of the information. And I got that today, and so did Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship. So I'm gonna wait. We have about not quite a week until the deadline, so they have a little time to respond to see if they want any more narrative from me or anything. But they said we had a really good grant application and they didn't really need a whole lot more. So
It's good to hear.
but the things that Nate is giving us is part of the grant. So the grant is paying for the stuff and it's all things that we need. So they requested it, and that's being paid for out of the DNR grant that we got for the wetland restoration. So
Good job.
the stackable grants work if they can get them to play, if we can get them to play right together. So we can be happy with that. And I got a message from John, excuse me, that the well field is trending upward a little bit.
Yay.
It's holding steady. It's not going down.
That's good.
And every time I report it's holding steady, I mean, we're just hanging in there, but we got a little bit of snow melt, so it went up a little bit, but it just takes a little time for it to get in there. And so that's,
Will you be sure to report that in the next newsletter, the status of?
I hope I can report that in the next newsletter. So I put out, we were kind of in between things. My monthly newsletter for February, I didn't have a whole lot of wetland or well field or any information to put in there. So I haven't posted it to Facebook yet. So I can add some stuff and post that
Well,
on
that was one of
social.
the things we talked
I was kind of
about.
hoping for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I've been kind of, hoping for some of this stuff to come in, and if there isn't anything to add to the conversation,
There's no need to.
so
but there is, please do.
then if we have some exciting news, I'm not going to wait till the next month. I'll just put it out there.
I'm still excited about possibly getting that Facebook page up and going,
Mhm.
because I mean, you've got a reporter here, you've got people that can support what we do at the city and maybe explain to the citizens exactly how things work. And I know I went through and I read on Facebook, somebody saying about the pet licenses. Just another tax. It's not a tax. And I think that those are the kind of things that we need to get out on our Facebook page and say, this is why this fee is being charged, and here's what we're doing with that fee money. That's just a minor example, but
Yeah, and my intention this week was to hit that hard on Monday and Tuesday, and I was sick and did not have the.
yeah, and I know,
So
Steve, you've got a
we're
lot on
gonna-
your plate, but I think it's so important.
No,
for
I've
the
got, it's a high
citizens.
priority,
Yeah.
and I think Ashley and I are gonna hit that next week.
For example, just knowing that the general fund levy is going down, and maybe explaining a little bit about why that is. going
I'm
down.
excited about it because this running the YouTube channel is problematic for me to be able to.
Mhm.
I mean, it's really glitched out
And I
tonight. It's stabilized right now, and there's 4 people out there.
We all have the liberty to express ourselves on that Facebook page. I would suggest probably either through you or the mayor, so we don't go too rogue. I can do that.
Mhm.
That we can maybe get some articles.
Yeah.
Out there too.
Excuse me, sometimes I don't remind people, but the Hometown Current has reached out to me in the past and said that if anybody wants to do any kind of article, to just write something up and submit it to them, and it's a regular thing. You could be a regular contributor.
Yeah, no, I want it to be more controlled with where we maybe can say something and then approach the mayor or you
Sure.
and say, is this appropriate to put out there? Or maybe because I don't want to put a lot of work on your plate, like you write all these articles, but if something pops into one of our brains that we think the citizens should know, we could write it and you guys could approve it and get it out there. And
Sounds good to me.
the more transparency, the better. That's all there is to it.
Does anybody have any questions on those things or anything?
No, good report.
Alrighty, on number 19, the mayor's report. Only meeting I went to, Sandy and I went up to the Benton Development Group meeting. Very, very good meeting. First chance I had to actually attend one. So all the Benton communities that are involved in it were there and their team, you know, so it was really good. And, I am now the chairperson for that.
Boy.
But it's really good and, you know, Kate has some really good goals and ideas and things like that. So, but other than that, I mean, we should be having a couple meetings coming up. There's one, with the assessor's office, which is mandatory for mayors. That one got postponed and it's, instead of being in, this month, it's gonna be in March. So I won't have anything to report on that until then, so. But other than that, other than, you know, just talking with investors and doing stuff like that, I mean, really reaching out to some of these people and getting some ideas from them. You know, I had an hour-and-a-half meeting with Zach Lane, you know, really good meeting, just, you know, got to know him, seen some of his ideas, we talked and that's really about it. So other than that, that's really all I got tonight. All right, there's no correspondence. Number 20 is a no. There's no old business.
I got one thing to bring up under that. Downtown parking, we talked about that several meetings back. I was contacted again looking for an update. I didn't really have one, so
Okay,
that's
yeah,
something we can revisit in the
we
future.
tabled that, so we probably better get that back opened up.
Did somebody get any information out of the CarQuest guys? Because wasn't that what you were waiting on?
That was the one thing I think they were gonna look at. I mean, other than the box on the truck was 20 foot. So, but I don't think has any of the other business owners in town, have they talked to anybody or anything or come in the city hall or anything?
Uh-huh.
I've had really positive responses towards us investigating changing it.
Okay. Well, we probably better get that on the next agenda then, and we'll get that on and.
Okay.
Are we gonna reach out to CarQuest again and let them know that we're gonna be discussing this?
I'll put that on my call list to get.
Let me know what they say, Steve, because it could affect what I write.
All right, thank you, Steve. All right, residents, any comments?
Well, quick question, because it wasn't on the agenda, because I talked to Steve some about today. I was trying to get more understanding about like the water. I bought my house like 6 years ago, all new faucets, all new pipes. I rehabbed that house. All my faucets is all shot. You know, I just never really had the opportunity of time to come to me and address it. Steve, you briefed me on some sort of day, but I didn't hear anything about like you said there's a water treatment plant on there.
Yeah, we voted this last year just because of the issue that we've had with our water. We have shallow wells,
Right.
and because of we were in the worst drought that we've been in since the 1950s here, and our area is one of the worst areas in the entire state. Our shallow wells, we have a deep well that's an alluvian, we call it an artesian well, but the water has a lot of heavy minerals in it and a lot of calcium, and that's really what causes a lot of the discoloration. We have to use that well in an emergency, and we blend it with our other wells. I'm saying things that I've memorized from Steve's speeches, so I'm trying to do my best. I'm trying to get ahead now.
I just didn't.
So, well, and that's pretty much been the whole thing, and it's everyone's frustrated because, you know, if you have a whole filter system, you're changing your filter. What used to be maybe twice a year, now you're doing almost every month.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, believe me, the bottom of my sinks, I'm having to constantly clean all the time because you get that calcium buildup. You get all that calcium. I'm using vinegar and everything else to try to keep things clean. So
It is
we are
sad.
all in the same boat.
I
It's not.
live basically on top of well 6. And
Yeah. And It's a shallow well, so I mean, isn't it even concerned with that? If somebody's drinking it with all the chemicals that the farmers using and all that other stuff with a shallow well, that seems.
They get
That's
tested
not-
all the time,
yeah.
and luckily, we've been very lucky to where our wells are in good shape that way, and they get tested all the time.
But the artesian well isn't a shallow well.
No, the artesian's a deep well.
I
That's-
didn't really get a whole lot of time to talk with you
Yeah,
today.
I understand.
So I'd like to talk with you some more
That's why I
about
wanted to come and get a full understanding.
Yeah.
Because, and I heard you mention a treatment plant on the horizon.
Hmm.
Can, I mean, you can.
It's gonna be 2 years probably for that to get completely, because not only do you have to design it, and we've hired an engineer firm. We've bought property for where that treatment plant's gonna go. We don't know exactly the layout and how that whole thing's gonna work yet. The engineer's gotta design it. Then you have to get it approved by the DNR, and then you have to build it, then you have to test the water. Then you gotta go back to the DNR, so that, it's just jumping through hoops to make sure. So,
I'm
but.
not going nowhere.
Yeah, don't leave,
Well,
don't
and
leave.
this council has made an absolute pledge that the can does not get kicked
Down
down
the
any
road
longer.
anymore.
Yeah.
That this has to get tackled, this has to get fixed.
Unfortunately, it's time, it's just gonna
Hoops
take
to
a lot
jump
of
through.
time.
Yeah.
A lot of hoops. to
And the
jump
financial, it's gonna be expensive, and we're just really praying that there are enough grants and enough federal help and everything else so that we don't have to pass along.
But as I understand, as I replaced my dishwasher,
I'm scared to death of my
you
refrigerator
know,
right now.
And hot
That-
water heater.
Noise,
yeah,
you know,
that
so,
the only thing I keep telling myself is that at least we have water and it can be treated to some degree on our own, even though that's an expense. But I think we realize it, and this council is dedicated to not kicking the can down the road anymore.
Find him when he's feeling better and
Yeah.
sit down because he's got
Steve's
lot.
great.
I would like to talk to you about it more, because we didn't really,
Yeah,
we just were in the middle of things.
The
And
intricacies of it.
Well, and there is a timeline out there.
Mhm.
Share it with me.
So it started,
yeah,
you know?
Appreciate you coming to the meeting though,
Yes,
because
yeah.
we do know it's a concern.
Yeah,
And,
that's been my concern. It wasn't on the agenda, so I waited it
Oh,
out.
that's good.
well, I think it's been
Well,
going
and,
on
and,
for
and
so
to
long.
that, we talk about it at least, I would say every meeting. So, I mean, it, like they
I would
said,
do better trying to get to these meetings so I can see what's going on.
You're always welcome.
oh, yeah.
are you on
Yes.
Facebook at all?
Yes, I am.
So there are several community news pages that we post up.
I'm on
things.
the news, Belle Plaine News.
Mhm.
I'm a member.
Are you on the
that's how
Sesquicentennial
I work a
page?
lot, so, you know.
The Sesquicentennial page is also another one that they started during the Sesquicentennial.
Okay.
And so join that one because a lot of people comment on that one also.
Okay.
And
That's how I try to keep abreast of what's.
Benton County News, that's a good one.
And we're talking
Yes, it
about,
is.
yeah, Jim Magnafraw. I mean, we're talking about setting one up on our own
Uh-huh.
where we can give out information.
And not to backtrack, but I was going back to the garbage part, and I was just curious. You were saying with from being in arrearage, has the tonnage been consistent with the?
We just changed companies who
But
pick up the
tonnage-
garbage. The old company was a big corporate company, and
Yeah.
there was always an argument as far as how much they were picking up a lot of commercial business. And so they were taking all of it all together and taking it to the Benton County dump.
Yeah.
So we were never sure whether or not they were charging us what ours alone was, or whether or not they were pulling it and putting it on average,
were.
but
I can tell you they were.
yeah, so.
Because tonnage should be consistent. You know, winter months are lighter than summer months, you know, so for the price to be that dramatic of a change, they were doing something more. Yeah.
we're happy with the change.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new company we have is good, so.
Oh, yeah.
Could you physically see the difference in the numbers with the tonnage? Yeah.
That's a good affirmation right
When she
there.
said that, my antennas went up like, okay.
And we saw Santa Claus too.
Yeah.
He went around. We saw him.
Yeah.
Well, I came on number 16 on the discussion of lots, but you didn't discuss the one across the street, so.
Oh,
Oh, you want
We
to talk
did more,
about
we did
the
more
hotel?
housing than we did the
I
actual.
just see with you, where you were gonna discuss that one.
oh, yeah, sorry, John. Yeah, we really haven't come up with really a plan of what we want to do with that yet, because everybody